Hey everyone, welcome back to Inside the Diamonds podcast. This is episode 7. I'm your host JC, and I'm joined again tonight by CJ. How you doing, CJ?
I'm fantastic now after a long day and being sick this weekend. I get to talk some baseball. This is like a stress reliever for me, so I'm excited to get this going.
Yeah,
And
it's
I'm happy to not be alone. That is one thing for sure.
I felt bad. Work's been kicking my ass left and right, and last Monday I just I couldn't even move. It's getting better now, but I couldn't even move. I stayed in bed and then until I could, and then got up Tuesday and went back to work. But I apologize for that. So sorry. I'm glad you made it through and you kept it to the time limit we wanted. So I'm sure it wasn't easy, but I appreciate you moving forward without me, and hopefully that doesn't happen too often for us. So.
I think everybody's gonna be glad it's not just my voice. That's gonna be the one thing.
Well, eventually, if we get more people on board with the website and joining us and stuff, we'll find some more people that can filter in and give a little bit more direct views on certain teams they're talking about. You know, you and I pay very close attention to, everything that's going on, but eventually it's going to be nice when we do get those lined up and have additional people in here with a little bit different point of view and a little bit different perspective on things. So, why don't we jump right into tonight? We'll start off with just some kind of highlights, some things that have happened in the last week. And, the first thing I have we seen a team as bad as this Chicago White Sox team? It's been a long time. And to go 8 games in this early of a year and been shut out 8 times, it's pretty putrid. Now, mind you, Luis Robert Jr. been out. Jimenez just came back, and Makata,
60
for
day
what he's
IL.
worth, he's still a bat. He's out, so they're probably missing their 3. Have been at different times been missing 3 of their best bats, but still, it's awful.
Yeah, I
It's
got some
tough to
stats.
watch.
You ready for this?
Yep.
So the only player on that team right now, and that starts has that is hitting over 250 is Gavin Sheets at 254. On top of that, now this is my interesting thing. Now, granted, we're only in mid-April. We still
Yeah.
have 5 months of a season left, so this can change. They can get hot. They're not gonna make the playoffs. I think that we can rule that out right now. But these stats can change. But here's where they're at right now. 190 is a team batting average.
Mm-hmm.
That's 30th in the league and the 3rd worst all time. Their on base percentage is 263. That's 30th in the league and the 7th worst all time. Their OPS is 549, which is 30th in the league and 7th worst all time. They've also scored 45 runs this season through 22 games. They're playing tonight, though. They've scored 3 runs. But through the 22-game pace, they've scored 45 runs. They're on pace for 331 runs. The lowest ever by a team is 372 by the St. Louis Cardinals in 1908.
Holy shit.
Now,
That's impressive.
I'll add in the 3 tonight. So I'll do 48 divided by 23 times 162. So they're on pace right now for 338 runs, with tonight's game being played right now. They're up 3-1. And that's still lower than the Cardinals by 34 runs, actually.
That's awful.
1908.
I was looking at it, just curious in regards to this is going to be someone, in my mind, thinking out without really diving into it, without pulling it up. I was like, there's got to be a couple of teams that have got to be, within 10 runs, of the White Sox. The next closest in runs scored is the Oakland Athletics at 65. Chicago currently has a minus 78 differential. That is by far the worst in the league right now. The next closest is the Rockies at minus 57. It's horrendous. And they don't really have much by the means of pitching either. They've got some nice stories, but at some point in time, probably what are they going to, are they just going to hold on to the kids down in the minors and let them kind of continue to do they have anyone that's worth
What
bringing up?
kids? What
I know.
kids? There's no one
Montgomery's
coming.
the only one that anyone ever really mentions, but he's not ready.
They have a
You don't want
lefty,
to.
Noah Schultz, who's pretty good, but they other than
Yeah.
that, they have no one coming.
No.
No one.
So that to me was when this morning before heading into work, I do all the rundowns of every single game the night before, watch them all, wake up an hour early, watch them all. And it came up while they were talking about them. I was just like, it just sparked my interest in how piss poor the Chicago White Sox are. And it's sad because there wasn't too long ago that they were a decent team and, in the playoffs and with Burley winning the World Series. So
Don't you
that
feel like
was
that's a trend with that division? Like, don't you feel like that every team in that division has a run of dominance? Like the Tigers did it a couple years ago, like a 2013, like that was a Tigers time frame. Then it was like in 2007, that time frame was the Guardians. The Twins ran it like for a while. The White Sox had it in like '04, and like I felt like they were always there in '04, '03, '02. The Royals had
yeah,
their run where they won the World Series. Like, I feel like that's the division where somebody always just stakes their claim and it's their division for a couple of years. Now,
yeah.
granted, last year the Twins won it, and right now the Guardians seem fantastic, but I don't know. That just seems like a team of runs in that division.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And I think probably just without even diving into it, to me, with that statement, the one that seems to be always average or above in the run is the Guardians. And it's been a long time since they've been in the bottom. Now, mind you, that you've had the Royals, you've had the Tigers who are building back, and the White Sox flop back, and the Twins have been horrible too a couple of years. But it is very much so a division where they do go in spurts. They're either really poor or they're all the way at the top. And it'll be very interesting to see that division, how that shakes out. But the other thing that caught my attention, and this actually this actually happened when I was doing my some fantasy baseball reviews, and I was looking for catcher help because I'm still
How,
missing some
how's that
catcher.
going?
Not in our league because I need a
Yeah,
hell of a lot more help than that. But Travis d'Arnaud
yeah.
had 5 home runs and 10 at bats. I think it's six now, right?
So I
Six in
looked
his
today.
last 4 games.
No, I. This is before play today. I
Okay.
pulled the numbers. He has 6 home runs in 4 games,
Yep.
and through those 4 games, he's hitting 600 with 6 home runs, 10 RBIs, and only one strikeout.
It's not
I mean,
sustainable, obviously, but because when Murphy comes back, he'll be there. But that to me was just, to get that kind of unexpected production from a catcher who's a backup who is, could catch and start for many teams. I'd love him on the Red Sox as much as, Wong does
whoa,
well, but you have a power bat like
whoa,
that.
whoa. Wong's fine. McGuire's fine. We'll get to that in a
Yeah.
little bit, but those two are fine, and we got Kyle Teal coming. I'm not worried about the Red Sox catching. Let's slow the
I'm
train down.
glad you brought that up because that's something I want to ask you later on when we get to the prospect situation. There's something I was talking about with my son, and I just want to bring that up later. But that was one that caught my attention, and then the other thing that really kind of caught my attention for me was, again, we're not meant to focus on the AL Central, but the Twins twofold. Louis Varland, for me, going into this season, I had high hopes for him. Rocco Baldelli has now basically disowned him and doesn't even want him back until he finds whatever it was he had previously, but he is lost. And that's too bad because they do need starting pitching, even though they brought up they brought up a guy with the hyphenated name, came up and pitched a great, spot
Oh,
start.
Simeon Richards Woods. He was
Yes.
acquired
I
from
mean, he
the.
looked,
I think he was acquired from Toronto a couple of years
yeah,
ago. He was a prospect that was just a throw in. Oh, for Barrios.
yeah. He threw a great game and he went down. I'm hoping he gets called back up. But the bigger thing when I was looking at the Twins is that they've been started the year without their dominant closer,
Yeah,
Johan Duran.
yeah,
He went on a rehab assignment today down to St. Paul. So when looking at the Central and seeing this news, Varland was, getting lit up. I think he's given up 27 runs in his 4 starts. So if they find someone to fill that void and they get, Joe Ryan's pitching well, and now they get their back end closer back, they shift everyone down into those late, seventh and eighth inning. hopefully they can start to rebound, and I think that'll be a team that'll be fun to watch. Um, Going into May and June to see how they rebound, see what's really there.
They have
But
problems.
Duran is one I like to watch. I like to watch him throw as a closer.
They have injuries though. I'm trying to
A
pull it up
lot.
right now.
Correa
I
just went down. Kepler just came back up, but
Correa,
he's not even hitting 200 yet this year.
Royce Lewis is hurt. Last I
Yep.
thought they got a lot of problems, and they don't have DeSclafani.
Nope.
Royce Lewis is a strained quad. Oblique for Correa. DeSclafani's hurt. I mean, listen, I wrote about why the Tigers are going to run away. I thought they were going to not run away, but win the AL Central. And I
Yep.
said the Twins didn't have the pitching to compete. Now, the Tigers have played the Twins. I'm going to pull this up. I look at the Tiger schedule because I believe they played 7 games now. And so there's only 6 left against the Twins.
Yep.
The Tigers are 2, 3, 4, 4-3 through those 7 games.
Yep.
Now, let's go through the scores there for a second. I'll ignore the first one, was 11-5. 4-1, close game. 4-3, close game, which the Tigers won that game. They actually, no, I think, okay, 8-2, the Tigers won that game. Tigers won 5-4, and then they lost 4-3, and then they won 6-1. So a lot of one-run games.
Yep.
And let's also not forget that the Tigers offense has been struggling, and in this Tampa series right now, they've picked it up. So that article looks okay. I mean, granted, like we said, I go back to the Twins pitching is just not there. Like letting Maeda go as a Tigers fan, watching him pitch, I get why they let him go. I mean, the home run ball is just killer to him.
Mm-hmm.
But they're going through it. I think Sonny Gray is a tough loss.
He looked good this first start for the Cardinals, so it'll be interesting. But the Duran going on rehab assignment for me, just not that I don't think the Twins have what it takes to win that division. I still think the Tigers are up there, and I think the Guardians are still. They've got so many bats that are just putting the bat on the ball right now,
Their
driving it
numbers,
in.
they're producing, but their numbers aren't staggering. The Guardians,
No,
like
just
there's
consistent
nothing.
from top to bottom.
Like I looked at it today because we're gonna do a segment on them, but I
Yep.
pulled up some numbers today. Like the bat that really stood out to me a lot was Josh Naylor.
He had a good year last year. He hit over 300 last year.
The Naylor brothers are something to watch there. But the pitching, and again, I go back to the article I wrote about the Tigers winning the division. Shane Bieber's done for the year,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know. I've heard this in multiple places. Tristan McKenzie's coming back from a injury from last year, and they're keeping him on a pitch count. He's not the same pitcher. He's actually somebody said this the other day. I was listening to something and somebody mentioned it. I think he was touching 92, 93 last year. He's dropped to 89, 90.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he neglected surgery and chose to go through, I forget what it was, physical therapy or something. He went through something else instead to try to figure out the arm issue. And clearly, whatever it is he's going through isn't working.
No.
I mean, granted, he is 2-2 but he has a 5 ERA.
Yeah, it's high.
With a 1.61 WHIP, 11 strikeouts, and 18 innings pitched. No, who's he remind me of? Marcus Stroman. Is he going to strike people out? No. But there's something going on, and you lose that arm on top of Bieber already. Now we're talking trouble. And so
Curry can come up and fill in for. I don't mean he can fill in for Bieber, but he can fill in a rotation spot. He's not Bieber, but they don't have much more depth further down.
no,
So
no.
that division to me is just going to be interesting. But I think getting Duran back allows the Twins to battle in that second, third place, and then see the White Sox and hopefully not the Guardians fall off the face of the earth, because I did pick them to finish second. But we'll see. It'll be very interesting. But those were just the outside of the norm and basics, and some we'll get to later. But those were the things that kind of stuck out to me as intriguing when doing some little bit of quick research this morning and over the weekend. What about for you?
I got 4. So the first one I would bring up, and everybody's talking about this, and I think it's hysterical. Have you seen the Aaron Boone video from yesterday?
Yeah. What do you do? The poor guy, he's looking at the other bench coach, right? And you can clear as day see in the video, see the guy behind the home plate yell. I don't know what he yelled. I didn't hear it, but it was a quick hook. And poor Boone, because generally, Boone is always running his yap, but it was great.
When I watched the video, I was at work and I saw it pop up on my, because I get notifications for everything baseball, Twitter related. I saw it pop up and Boone gets ejected and there was a video, so I pull it open and all I see is Boone. He's checking his fingernails, like, did I cut them long enough or short enough this week? Am I good? And all of a sudden
Yeah.
he's tossed and he's like, what did I do? And then they slowed it down, and there's the video of the guy like in slow mo, yelling something to the umpire, and the umpire takes his mask off and tosses him.
Yeah.
I couldn't stop laughing. Like that's Aaron Boone. Everybody talks about it. He's the guy that only has a job because of one home run,
Oh, fuck.
and yeah, it breaks all of the Boston fans' hearts. But
I'll have to tell you a story about that year and the heartbreak and what I was personally going through during that time. And I don't want to share it on air, but when Boone hit the home run, I was woken up. I'll tell you off air. It's gross. You don't, no one else wants to hear it. But
I thought that was hysterical, and I really I didn't watch the game. Like I forgot, I had a lot going on at work anyways, and I was dealing with I was sick all weekend, so I was dealing with getting better. But so when I saw the video pop up, I completely forgot there was a 1 o'clock game, and so I tuned in after that. So I don't even know what led to it. It sounded like it was like a hit batter before, and like Boone was arguing or something like that, and then the fan's reaction behind him was hysterical. Like he just yelled something, and he just sat there stone faced. Like, and Boone's saying it wasn't me, it was him. Like even the bench coach was yelling it was him, and he's just sitting there stone faced.
Yeah, they both immediately turned around. But how empty is that stadium up front? In the
In a
price of your
1 o'clock
seats
game.
in a 1 o'clock game that they knew exactly who it was too. They pointed right at him.
How about the umpire doubling down after it? I didn't toss a fan.
Nope.
I think I haven't read him yet. I should have read him before we did this, but he came out today and said something. So I don't know what he said today, but I just thought the whole scene. So if you haven't seen the video, just go look at it. It's hysterical. Like he's literally just checking his fingernails. Like, oh, okay.
And wasn't animated, nothing. Just a simple conversation with a bench coach, keeping quiet, and then they both immediately kind of perked up, like when it was said too. And then the ump throws them. It was pretty comical to watch, and just if it was any other team, probably wouldn't care. But where it's the Yankees and Boone, everyone's kind of posting it out there. So it was definitely that's a good one.
Unless it was Angel Hernandez behind the plate, then everybody would have known about it.
He would have pointed in the other direction, though. He would have missed that call and called the other coach.
It would have been somebody in left field.
That's right. You're out. God, that guy is horrible.
Oh.
If I got $1 for every meme I saw with the phone calls Angel Hernandez missed,
The best one I got, and I got this before the season started, was one of my best friends posted it, shared or tagged me in it on Facebook, and it really said like November, I miss baseball. December, I miss baseball. January, I go so on and so on. April 1st, and it's a picture of Angel Hernandez and said, "F this guy."
Yeah. Oh, the guy's horrible, but hey, he's got to have something over somebody because he's still doing it.
All right, so the second one I want to talk about is the Oakland A's. We all knew were not going to be a good team this year. I think we all expected it. I mean, granted, they're in fourth place, so kudos to them through less than 25 games to start the season. Yep. Mason Miller, that guy is nails. 1.80 ERA, a 1 WHIP, 20 strikeouts in 10 innings pitched, 8 games, 5 saves, and he's touching 103. The A's could trade him at the deadline because
God,
and they might get a top 10 prospect and maybe another one in the top 100.
So Saturday I watched the Cubs and Adelsai blow the save against the Marlins in the first game. So then I go and watch Miller the other day, and I'm like, holy shit. The Cubs have got a log jam out in the outfield. They've got a couple of different, arms out there. I'm like, I wonder what it would take to get Miller. The guy's just a power arm. I mean, he sat those three guys down, lights out, hitting 103. He's pretty incredible.
Yeah, I couldn't believe when 103. Like, that's a steal.
You see Soto just stare at him afterwards?
Oh, that guy.
It wasn't a stare like, holy, I'm going to get you type. It was like out of disbelief.
He went
what
1, 2, 3
did I just
yesterday.
face?
I think he struck out all three.
Yeah. And there wasn't a single pitch in that at bat that was under 100.
How about Judge?
All three at bats, I think. Yeah, Judge included. It was Volpe, Soto, and Judge.
How about Judge getting booed?
Yes. It's only a matter of time, right?
Something's wrong with him. That toe is not right.
We said it in the AL predictions.
Yeah.
It's only a matter of time.
See, and he's turned into a Yankee that I like, because I like the fact that he came out and he literally said, yeah, I get it. If I was them, I'd boo me too. And I love that. Own up to it. Like, you had a bad day. You're having a bad start. I love that. But Mason Miller, that guy could fetch. Oh, he could fetch so much talent for that A's team. That's Sacramento A's.
Oh, gosh.
I mean, I don't know. So the third one, you're going to enjoy this one. Jared Jones. No,
Did you see the strikeout when he made Terang just basically buckle?
That was part of my notes for this part. So I want to go through his numbers really quick. He's 2-2 with a 2.79 ERA, a 0.83 WHIP, 39 strikeouts in 29 innings pitched. Yeah. And he has touched 7+ strikeouts in every single start he's made in his big league career so far through 5 starts. And then that video of Terang. And somebody said it today, and I don't know if it's true. I didn't look up the stats or anything like that, but apparently they faced each other in the minors before.
Probably if you look at how these teams play, and most likely they have, but that was ugly. That's not something that Terang's going to live down or let down in that clubhouse. That'll be something that they'll share quite often.
I couldn't believe that swing. Like, that was fantastic. That was a great pitch, and he walked off the mound like he knew, like, yep, I gotcha.
Yeah.
He's a guy. No, I said it all last year, that I loved watching Yuri Perez, and Yuri Perez is out for the year. So my new guy to watch, I'm tuned into every Jared Jones start this year, because that guy looks really good. And I've said it before, and we'll talk about it later. What they have pitching coming, that team is going to be good. They're going to be very good. Like, they right now. I don't know if they won tonight. I haven't seen them come up, actually, so I don't even know if they won today. I don't think they played yesterday. But entering play today, if they didn't play yesterday, they've lost 6 straight. They got swept by the Mets, and they got swept by the Red Sox. Yeah. And they looked like, against the Red Sox, they looked like the Oakland A's. I mean, they didn't look whatsoever.
And the Red Sox were walking wounded. No O'Neill, no Devers.
That's next. We'll get there.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll just go there, I guess. So we'll lead right into it. The Red Sox, I mean, let's talk about a road team. What did they come home? 7-3 through the first 10. So they're 10-3 on the road. They lost tonight, so 10-4. And think about what they're doing. Devers is still out. Costas is going to be out for some time. And Tyler O'Neill just came back. And I don't even know what he did tonight. I was at my nephew's baseball game, and I got home, showered, and then I had a meeting, and then I came into this. So I didn't get to see much of the game, which I don't like doing. But I had it on. I had it on the radio. Rafael looks great at shortstop. I mean, I love that. Finally they make the call, and finally you have a shortstop for the season. But the big thing about the Red Sox that I want to talk about that some people seem to forget, and I said to a lot of people, was the Andrew Bailey effect. Entering play tonight, they had a 1.73 ERA as a team, as a starting pitching.
Yep.
That's ridiculous. And I wrote about it on Saturday. I think I posted it. where I include Pavetta, I include Whitlock, I had and Bayo. Bayo during, I mean, everybody says this, and I actually heard it somewhere else today. Everybody says Bayo during the day is a problem. Bayo at night
Mhm.
is fantastic. His numbers this year, I believe from what I heard, and I'm doing this off the top of my head, so if I'm wrong, don't come after me. Uh, during the during the day this year, he's under 3 for an ERA. At night, he's over 3.
Hmm.
His worst start this season was against Baltimore, and if you remember that game, it was opening day.
Yeah.
He gave
Yeah,
up
we were
3
there.
runs. One was earned. I
Yeah.
mean, Durant
Yeah,
catches
because
that
Duran's
ball.
in. Yeah, exactly.
So, and I don't know if you saw him Friday night, but that looked like I don't want to do it. I don't want to say it yet, but that reminded me of Pedro. It reminded me of Pedro, and it was the Pirates. And the
Spent a
Pirates
lot
are
of time with him.
they're on a scuffle. Like the Pirates are not good right now, but that looked like
Pirates
Pedro.
won tonight 2-1, and
Okay,
3 hit the Brewers.
so finally they're back. But
Falter went
actually,
7 innings and
what am I
struck out
saying?
8.
Jared Jones pitched last night. We just talked about it. So they did
Yeah.
play last night. I think they won.
Yep.
So I think
So
they won two in a
they've
row.
taken the first 2 games against the division leading Brewers. So
So,
very weird team, but pitching is key.
but I just one last one I want to talk about is did everybody hype up the Dodgers too much?
Mhm. Mhm.
I mean, that division isn't great. Blake Snell, look at what he's done. Jordan Montgomery made his first start on Friday. He looked okay. I mean, that division's wide open, but
Yeah.
it's probably still gonna be the Dodgers. But they're not gonna be. I don't think they're gonna be the 100. I mean, they may win 100 games, but they're not gonna be whatever you thought they were. They're gonna run away with everything.
Doesn't look like it yet. Yamamoto could figure it out. Perhaps Bueller's going to come back. I know Bueller's going to come back eventually. The bats will all come together, but they're missing more pieces in that lineup
Kershaw's
than
coming
a lot of
back.
people. Yep,
Like I
they've
said it
got the
before.
pitching.
I said it before. We all know what the deal was. Paxton's
Hmm.
there. He can't go the second half of the season. He'll probably be out the second half. Kershaw comes back. They replace him. I said it before. I'll say it time and time again. But I also said this multiple times. As a Red Sox fan, my manager, Alex Cora, is not under contract. And my bold
Hmm.
statement was that the Dodgers
Hmm.
aren't gonna win the World Series, and Dave Roberts is gonna lose his job, and Alex Cora is gonna manage the Dodgers.
You were sick this weekend, and I got sick when I saw Glasnow's pitching line. He was lights out the other night, and I talked so much trash saying that he would, he hasn't done this, and right now, after the opening game series when he was over in Seoul, Korea, he's been pretty good, pretty damn good as advertised. And I think the last time out, he pitched 7 innings and had 8 strikeouts and just was, untouchable. So that team will be very interesting to watch. But I think that without seeing Yamamoto face on a day-to-day, game in, game out sequence, I think they very easily could have been overhyped, and people on paper had them, winning 110 games and going all the way and basically being handed the World Series trophy. Not quite like
I
that
mean,
right now.
we all knew what Glasnow was going there. As long as he stays healthy, he's the number one. Yamamoto, nobody knew what he was. They threw the bag at him.
No.
I mean, granted, Red Sox fans wanted him so bad. He doesn't look great.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I wrote he be a bust. I wasn't saying he was, but I said could
Could
he
he?
be
It
because
very easily could be.
his spring training stats against minor leaguers were not good. So if you want to go to the website and find that article, or when this video gets posted to Facebook, I'll tag it in the bottom.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
might be. He very well might be. And that was again, that goes back to that was just spring training. And then if we
Mm-hmm.
all remember his start in Sewell, that wasn't pretty.
Yeah.
Oh, Soto just homered, or was that earlier?
I don't know.
Ugh, this team.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think that's the biggest thing with anything, though, is these guys coming from overseas. what is the true expectation? What do you expect to get from them in regards to bust? Because you'll hear people know this is exactly what we expected. It'll give them through June and then see what you have when it counts in crunch time. That's when you'll see him. Like early on, he does not look good, and that
Well,
team in general looks average at best compared to what everyone was thinking.
aside from Mookie and Shohei and Freeman, those three,
Yeah.
and like you said, Glass now. But I mean, you could go through a handful of teams where you can name 3 hitters and a pitcher that look good to start the year. The Orioles, the Yankees. There's a handful of teams you can go through and say that about. So, but like you said, average. Average is the word. I mean, are they gonna win the NL West? I don't see the NL West being that competitive. Maybe the Padres figure it out. Maybe somebody steps up for them, and that's it. But Snell looks terrible in San Fran. So I don't know how I feel about the
Has
Giants.
he made it into the 4th inning yet?
I don't think so. I
No,
could pull it
it's
up.
been pretty bleak. I think it's been pretty bleak for him.
I made that argument. Like, well, I didn't want him in Boston for that reason. He's not a guy. Even if he is on, how often does he really go more than 6? Now maybe Andrew Barry
Very little. Very little.
I'm pulling
maybe,
it up.
But I bet you he's a pain in the ass.
He seems like one.
Yeah, how much is Bailey going to have for an impact on a guy that's won 2 Cy Youngs? Not saying that Bailey's not a great pitching coach, but is he one of those guys that thinks he knows everything and kind of just blows him off? I don't know. I don't know the guy personally and haven't read anything like that, but I kind of get that vibe.
Let's also not forget that, like, every year after he wins the Cy Young, he falls off.
He's shit after that. That's all there is to it.
So far, this season, that's not what I want. I want his game logs. Don't mind me. I'm still working. I'm pulling it up. So 3 starts. He hasn't made it into the 5th inning yet. Oh no, he has. 4 2/3 in the most recent start.
Wow, impressive.
But that
those
ERA,
those are Jordan Wick type numbers.
That ERA of 11.57 is ugly.
Yeah, it's bad. But he also didn't have a spring training.
That is.
And I don't care, right? You're only throwing side sessions, this, that, and the next thing. You're still working out. So if you look at it and you give him, if we come back to Blake Snell and just look at his May numbers and take out April, I'll be interested then to see what it looks like.
That's when we revisit them. I agree with that.
Okay. All right. So is there anything else to kind of just hot topic that kind of hit you this week?
That was it. I think we plan on covering the other one a little bit later on.
Yep. All right. So right now, you've heard CJ and I talk about the website, some of the articles. We've mentioned it in every single podcast that we had. If you're a baseball fan and you like talking baseball, writing about baseball, covering your favorite team or a player that plays on a different team, and you want to join us, follow the website, https://insidethediamonds.com/join us. We'd love to have some more people come on, join us, writing about whether it be minor league baseball, some of the top prospects that you can work with CJ on, that if he needs help covering, or someone you're interested in, or any baseball team in the major leagues or even minor leagues, reach out to us. Let us know what really your passion is, and we'll work with you to get you covering a team and generating some content. And like we mentioned earlier, depending on your passion and where it links up with what we're discussing, join us for an episode or 2 or more to kind of hit on some of these topics so that we can get a different point of view and everything that we're doing. Right now, we've got all kinds of different people that are joining us, writing about different teams, but we still have some voids out there that we would love to get covered so that we can continue to grow this website. And we're willing to work with anyone. And even if it's a team that's already currently being covered, we have a program here where you can kind of come in and claim your articles and do a little different. So, don't be afraid to reach out, ask any questions you have, and just let us know. We're more than happy to welcome new people in and kind of help us out with this. So I wanted to kind of touch base because it has been, almost under 25 games, but there's been some injuries, there's been some different developments and some surprises. But I wanted to kind of just ask you the question in regards to right now, AL and NL, which division race now, in hindsight, we've done our projections and everything, but right now, with everything the way it is, which race is most intriguing to you right now after the first few weeks of the season?
So wait, I'm doing one AL and one NL, or am I doing one
No, just
altogether?
one division in general.
Okay.
Which one
Geez, I had
race,
one. I was like, oh
piques
no,
your
I gotta
interest?
panic, figure out another one.
No,
I'm gonna be
no.
a homer, and I'm gonna go the American League East.
Okay.
And so the reason I say that, oh no, is my computer about to die? Hold on. All right, I saved it. We're all good. All right, so, sorry. So I'm sticking with the American League East. I'm going, and so the reason why I say that is how tight it is. Everybody seemed to think the Yankees were just going to run away with it once the season started. But I made a bunch of notes, and the first one I have is the Blue Jays are starting to figure some things out after their rough start.
Yep.
They're right up there. And what I didn't mention this in my news and notes from the first quarter, first 25 games, whatever. Jose Barrios, a 0.85 ERA,
Yeah.
which is, I believe, second or third in the American League. I mean, they got
Yep.
an ace. He's finally figured some stuff out.
Yep.
And that team has depth. I mean, Alek Manoah looks good in AAA. The Orioles are back in first place at ranked tonight, and that's despite their number one overall prospect, Jackson Holliday, when his struggles. They're still finding a
Yep.
way to win games. So, and they're still giving him a chance to. Oh, Otani just went Yabo. And then they just called up Heston Kjerstad. I don't even know how you say
Yep.
his last name. It's one of those last names. The Red Sox are still there. They're fighting all these injuries. Like, I don't know what's going on with Devers, and who knows what's going on with Yoshida, but they're dominating with the pitching. Their bullpen looks fantastic. I mean, granted, they lost tonight, but 4-1, score some runs. I mean, the
Yeah.
offense is fine, but you're missing 2, 3 solid bats. I mean, at the end of the day, add Casas, who's going to be out some time. Devers, who knows what he's going through, and Yoshida to this lineup. They'll be right there. I think they're still going to be. They'll probably be a 500 team. They just went back to back. Freddie Freeman.
Freeman.
Right on the very next pit. Oh nope, just like the wind blew it in. Wow, that looked out based on these camera angles this year are
Suck.
terrible. Oh my
Suck.
god, every game I watch, the camera angles are terrible. Like the camera
Agreed.
just made it seem like it was the biggest bomb at the Nationals Park, and it was just a routine fly out to right field. So I don't know what the wind is there or what's going on, but that looked like it was a bomb. Sorry. So,
Nope.
the Red Sox, I think, will still be there. I think the pitching will surprise people. If they can continue that and there's no injuries, they should be right there. The Yankees. I mean, as a Red Sox fan, the rivalry will live forever, but they're doing what they're doing with Judge struggling and no Garrett Cole.
Yeah.
I mean, and then on top of it, the Rays were 500 entering tonight, and like I had them in last place in my prediction,
Mm-hmm.
but they're still the Rays, and they find ways to compete every single game.
Yeah.
I mean, they've lost 2 straight now. The Tigers won the first 2 games of the series. They're going for a sweep tomorrow. And they're going to face old friend Tyler Alexander, who I actually liked. I'm excited to see him actually make a start tomorrow against the Tigers and see how that goes.
Yep.
But you can never count the Rays out. Like, they find a way. So
They're just scrappy. They're scrappy. They have been for years. It's they've always got the pitching has always been something they
it's a
find
pitching
arms.
factory. It's a pitching factory.
Yeah.
I think they're going to struggle for at least the next 2 weeks. I think losing your closer, because I think they just put Pete Fairbanks on the 15-day IL. Losing your closers is tough. And
Yeah.
if you're 500 right now, if that hurts you over the next, I think he's 15-day IL. So you're looking at probably, I forget when it was retroactive to. So probably we'll say 2 weeks. That's tough.
Yeah.
That's tough.
Yeah.
That could hurt. But
they do have Jason Adam though.
They
that
do.
has closed before. Because let's face it, Fairbanks misses at least. He's on the IL or injured list at least twice a year. So they've got
Yes.
other guys with experience, which is again goes back to the pitching factory. They just have arms that come out of nowhere.
You could never count them out. And I mean,
Nope.
it's hands down right now the best division in baseball. So that
Yep.
race, Red Sox, even if the Red Sox weren't in it as a fan, I love that division. So I'm always locked into the AL East. Even being a Tigers fan, the AL East is just such a
Yep.
wide open thing.
So for me, I was instantly, where I'm doing a lot of work for the NL Central, I'm instantly drawn there. But due to the injury to Spencer Strider and knowing how the Phillies bats generally are hot and cold, and right now they're, not everyone's clicking, but they're pitching. Ranger Suarez, I think it's 16 straight innings without an earned run, and he was hurt a good chunk of the beginning of last year. The NL East, and it's just in my eyes, it's a two team race. One's going to win the division, the other one's going to win one of the top wild cards. But with Strider going out, and we've discussed Sale before in regards to his injury history, can he make it through a full year? Do the Braves have enough pitching depth? Although Ronaldo Lopez has looked pretty good as a fifth starter to start this year, has been, a lot better than what I think anyone expected.
Doesn't he have the
I think
best
he's
ERA in baseball?
that I'm not 100% sure of. Wouldn't surprise me, but
Nope.
he's been lights out.
It was up there. He must have pitched recently. It was up there the other day when I looked.
But the Phillies only trail the Braves by 2 games. The Braves going into tonight were 16-6. The Phillies, who just lost tonight 8-1 to the Reds, are 15-9.
Let's not forget too the Braves. They have Bryce Elder, who they just called back up,
Yeah,
and they still have Smith Shawver down in AAA. So I
yeah.
mean, the Strider
They've
injury
got some
hurts.
depth.
The Strider injury hurts because of who he is, but the depth, like you said, the depth they have. Add him back to this, or add any of these names that can produce. I love that team.
I would not be surprised, though, when all the bats, Schwarber, Harper, all the bats start to click in Philadelphia. If their pitching can stay healthy, I would not be shocked to see the Phillies win that division. Just knowing what could happen to that Braves pitching staff. So that to me is going to be an even more interesting race. Now there's right now early in the year, there's plenty of divisions that we've talked about that are all great and going to be fun to watch. But this Phillies team now, where I had them finish in second, is this enough for them to perhaps pick up 3 games and win that division? Who knows?
Did you see
It's going to
tonight?
be interesting. Huh?
Did you see tonight's game?
They got swamped.
So the Braves, I'm going to the Braves.
Oh, the Braves. Oh, okay. No, I didn't. I know they were winning.
So the Braves in 2 games this week, they're playing the Marlins, have outscored the Marlins 8-0
Yep.
through 2 games. But Max Fried had a complete game shutout.
Really?
9 innings, 3 hits, 6 strikeouts, didn't allow a walk.
Wow. That's getting him back and having him healthy is good.
Yep. Talk about somebody from the Braves actually that made me think of it. I kind of feel like get to kind of feel a little bit from Michael Soroka.
Yeah. Getting shipped off to Chicago.
And he hasn't been good.
That sucks. No.
He got teed off on the last start from him. I haven't tuned into many White Sox games, but the last start
me
I
either. I
saw
saw him play the
got teed
Royals.
off.
That was it.
Yeah, I saw him play the Tigers, and that was early, but he didn't look good. But no, I agree. I agree with everything you said. That's a 2-team race. The Phillies are exciting. The Braves are good. I don't know how I feel about the Phillies could potentially win the division. I think the Braves make it like a 7-game difference, but especially if
It all depends. It all depends on Sale, honestly. I'll say this: it'll be Sale and Fried. Can they both stay off the IL for a significant amount of time?
I think Sale's the only one because like we just said, the call up of Elder doesn't replace Strider, it fills the void, and he looked good yesterday. I mean, he went 6 2/3 shutout innings, but
Yeah.
I think they still have pitching in the system in
Yeah.
AAA that they call up. That if Sale goes on the IL, now again, like you said, if it's Freed goes on the IL, then we're causing concern.
Yeah.
But if one
Yeah.
other pitcher, like one of even if it's Morton or somebody else gets hurt, then the one pitcher going down, I'm okay with. After that is where I start to get a little nervous about them, and that's where I think the door opens for the Phillies. Even I
Okay.
mean, the Nationals, despite them being down, I think it's 4-1, haven't been bad,
No, they've got some talent.
and they got more
Gore's looked
coming.
good. Abrams has looked fantastic.
They got a lot coming.
There's a lot of different stuff, and I think at the end of each month it would be interesting to see where each race lands and who's surprising us. But now moving on from that, there's a team out there right now that isn't as bad as the White Sox, but they look fucking horrendous.
They're close to it. They're down
Is
6-2 right now.
Yeah, to the Cubs, the Astros right now. And they just all their bats, and I kind of kiddingly said this to you about the pitch calm. Now, all these pitches are being called from the remote control back and forth between the pitcher and catcher. But the Astros look horrible. Jose Abreu is lost, has 4 hits as the time we started, 4 hits and I think 59 at bats.
He's barely touching that .050 batting average.
Oh, it's horrible. I think he
And
was
that's
under.
lower
He was
tonight.
he was under. He was under. He was like, I think he was 0.096.
That was 5-6. Maybe I saw the number wrong.
Maybe, yeah, one of the two. But for me, with this team and knowing the division they're in, and they've got some older assets, at what point in time do they start selling some pieces off?
So when you sent me this manifesto to plan this out, I started thinking about it. And the one thing is, I will say to start the season, they just look old.
Yeah.
They just look slow. Everything about them. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
what we were excited 2 weeks ago about a no hitter for them.
Yeah.
Like, they just don't look hot. But the thing about this Astros team and their lineup with Altuve, Bregman, Pena looks okay. Like Pena is like one
he's
of
the only one that's really looked good.
Altuve too. Jordan Alvarez. The Astros, as much as I dislike them because of that whole cheating scandal, I
Mm-hmm.
still find myself watching them and like locked into their games. This is a team that can catch fire at any time.
Yeah.
And so going to your question of when do they sell, I think they're gonna, as long as there's that possibility, and with the rest of the division having the issues they have. I mean, they're in that AL West where the A's aren't good, the Angels aren't good. The Rangers are missing pitching. Granted, they're going to get Scherzer back. It seems like by May or June.
Yeah.
And the Mariners haven't looked great.
They're off to another slow start.
The door's open, and
Mm-hmm.
so the Astros catch fire. They're right back in it. So are they even going to sell? So I think no matter what, they're a team that the week before the trade deadline we talked about. That's where they start moving things. And I think
unless things are real bad at the end of May, but even so, like you said, they've
depends how far
they're
out.
gonna get hot eventually.
Right.
For how long? Because of the age. It'll be
depends
interesting.
how far out. If they're 7 games out, they're not selling. If they're 12 games out, then the door's open.
Yeah.
But Verlander just came back, so we'll have to see. I mean,
Hunter Brown has been a huge letdown. I thought Hunter Brown was going to be their best pitcher this season, which is unfortunate. So I agree. I think a lot of this, as we're going through and as we continue to build podcasts as the season goes on, we'll have more discussions around, what are the needs, who are these teams that could be selling off. I know you and I share different messages back and forth in regards to teams and where certain players would fit. But right now, this Astros team, I don't think there's a better way to describe it other than the fact that, like you said, they just look old and slow, and that's how it's translating on the field, is they're just slow right now. And maybe, once the season and the weather heats up, obviously it's always warm down in Houston, but maybe those old legs will get stretched out a little bit and they'll start doing a little bit better. But if not, it will be very interesting to see what they do.
Yeah.
So you've done a lot of work for the website with covering the prospects, and I just want to kind of each week kind of touch base with you and see who do you think the top prospects were from your top 100 prospects list.
All right. This is my favorite, going to be my favorite part of every
Yep.
podcast. So I'm going to try my plan going forward. We'll try to pick a pitcher and a hitter each week and do
Yep.
I guess ITDs. And as I get better with the graphics, maybe even make one. ITDs hitter and pitcher of the week for the minor leagues. And I hate picking the same person for back-to-back weeks, and I talked about it last week. My pitcher of the week for this week, it has to be Paul Skeens. And for those of you that have seen our top 100, it will be updated. My plan is probably May 6th or 7th. I'll have it updated. My birthday is May 3rd, so I'll be busy that whole weekend doing birthday stuff. And so once I get back to the grind on the 6th or the 7th, I'll probably have this updated. He probably will be my number one prospect, assuming Jackson Holiday is graduated by then. But this past week for the Indianapolis Indians, he went 3 1/3 in one start, 0 runs, 1 hit, 2 walk, and 8 strikeouts. So that's what? He faced 10 outs recorded, 8 of them were strikeouts.
Am I dreaming, or did he have an immaculate inning too in that outing?
I feel like that was, yes, I believe so.
Yeah.
I believe so. And so to just go over his season numbers, he doesn't have a decision yet. He has not a lot of earned run yet. He has a 0.71 whip and 27 strikeouts in 12 2/3 innings.
Yeah, and so everyone knows you can't have a decision in baseball unless you go into the 5th inning.
Right.
So he's not going to have he's not going to get a win or a loss, and he can't get a loss if you're not allowing any runs.
No,
so,
you can get a loss if it's less than 5 innings.
Really, even if you haven't allowed any runs?
Even
that's
if
not. I mean, that's not. I'm saying right now with his earned runs that he's allowed, he's not in trouble of facing a loss.
Like if they go down 1-0 and it's not tied up after 2 innings, then he can take the loss.
Yes, but he's fantastic, and I'll add one bit to the Paul Skeens after you're done with the rest of it.
And then, as far as the hitters, I couldn't pick one. I couldn't.
Yeah,
I picked 2.
Okay.
So I'll start with the highest of the rankings.
Yep.
First baseman Kyle Manzardo, who was ranked 55th overall from the Cleveland Guardian system. He plays for the Columbus Clippers in AAA. Last week he went 10 for 24 with a 4, which equates to a 417 average. He had 3 home runs, 4 RBIs, 8 runs scored, and 4 walks.
Yeah.
This season he's hitting 308 with a 985 OPS, 4 home runs. So all 3 of his 4 home runs came last week. 10 RBIs and 13 runs scored. And this kid, I mean, I don't know what Cleveland's got at first. I think it's Naylor, so I guess you're stuck there. I don't know what you do with DH. He might be stuck in AAA for a while.
Who's the guy? Esteban Florio that used to be with the Yankees.
That's right.
Has been DHing.
Now, Manzardo was also traded last year from the Rays for Aaron Savali.
Yep.
So, I mean, the Rays do have a top prospect in Xavier Isaac, but he hasn't done much to start the year.
No.
So I wonder if the Rays are kicking themselves a little bit for making the mistake on trading the wrong prospect, because Manzardo has been decent to start the year. I mean, and if you look at the rankings, I believe, off the top of my head, I'm not looking at them, Isaac and Manzardo were like right next to each other.
They were close.
So they were in like the 50. Like, so Manzaro's 55. I think Isaac was in the lower 50s.
Yeah.
But they're all right. They're both right there.
Yeah.
And the final one, as a person born and raised in New Hampshire, I love watching the Fisher Cats. This guy is actually in AAA now, but I walked into a lot of Fisher Cats games last year, and he was a lot of fun to watch. He's the 86th overall prospect, Orelvis Martinez.
Yep.
And I've actually seen a lot of tweets this week that people want him called up, and it's time. And they have, Kiner Falefa is playing third, Biggio's at second. You got Bichette at short and Guerrero at first. I don't hate the idea of calling him up, but I think you're in a tough position where then what are you going to mix and match Biggio and Kiner Falefa at third base and play the matchup? Because I believe Kiner Falefa's a righty off the top of my head. So then
Biggio's a lefty.
Biggio's a lefty. So what are you going to play the matchup and you're going to mix and match at third base? Tough spot to be in. I wouldn't be surprised if there is a move there, but I don't know. Their bullpen's good. Their starting pitching's good so far.
Yeah.
But this week, Martinez went 10 for 28 with a 357 batting average. Not as good as Manzardo, but the stat that's really stuck out to me is 5 home runs, 13 RBIs, 8 runs scored, and 3 walks. So far this season, and this is where it really sticks out, he's hitting 333 with a 1.073 OPS. He has 6 home runs. So 5 of those 6 just came last week with 18 RBIs. So he had 5 entering the last week's series.
Yeah.
And 20 runs scored. And so he had 8 last week.
He's with the Buffalo Bisons right now in AAA. They play the Iowa Cubs. So I'll at least see 2 or 3 of those games this week, whether it be live or rewatch them. So I'll be interested in locking in on him to see how he does, especially following last week. But when you were talking about Skeens, and you and I talk about him quite a bit, and I'm looking at Jared Jones, I'm looking at Mitch Keller, and he's not a number 5 starter. Skeens is not. But if you have Mitch Keller, Perez, then you throw in Jared Jones, and then you throw Marco Gonzalez, who's more of a finesse type of guy, and then you follow with Paul Skeens. Like, just thinking in terms of messing with the opponent's batters. You go in, you have to face a lefty who's more of this, I won't call him Jamie Moyer-esque, but he's more of a finesse guy, throwing junk at you, controlling the zone, not overpowering you. And then the next game, you have to face a guy that's throwing fucking BBs. I want to see him come up because the Pirates aren't that bad of a team. And you throw in there and you all of a sudden have a pitching staff that's pretty friggin' formidable right now, the way they're all throwing. When you mentioned that earlier, and we've been talking about him, there's no pressure on the guy to come in because you can still keep Bradley Falter, and you could almost do those 2 guys if you let him pitch both 3 innings. You're saving your bullpen some, and I don't care who starts.
I'd like to see
it would be a waste for him, but
I'd like to see him make 2 more starts at AAA and see him get to 5 innings pitched in each game and see how that goes. I think you were going to write about it the other day and mention the idea of him getting called up soon. Yeah. And I said to you that I had an idea to when that was going to happen. I saw it a lot of places, and that's what sparked my interest on it, was his girlfriend. Now, for those of you who don't know, he's dating the LSU gymnastics, I don't even know what they're called, not player, but LSU gymnastics
gymnast.
Girl. Yeah. Gymnast, thank you. Libby Dunn. They were waiting for, because she is very popular on TikTok and all social media, that they were waiting for her to finish her season, or her season finished Saturday. So are they waiting for because the Pirates can make it's all money based for the owners. So are they waiting for her season to end, and all of a sudden now she's coming to Pittsburgh for games, and that brings in more money for Pittsburgh? We'll have to see this week, but I forget what day I think he pitched yesterday.
Yeah, I think so.
Today. It might have been today. I was going to say, so today's Tuesday, so that means he pitched today, and he pitches Sunday. I'm going to pull it up real quick. Hold on 1 second. I'll pull up how they did today.
For anyone that hasn't seen Paul Skeens pitch, or hasn't, may not even, for some of you may not even pay attention to minor league baseball. You may not know who he is. I highly recommend, going to the website, pulling up the articles, anything tied with Paul Skeens. But at the same time, go to YouTube and see some video of this guy throw. He's unreal. And the only thing right now, to your comment about seeing him go into the fifth inning, I wonder going just over 9 outs. He hasn't seen, because he's not walking anybody. He's not giving up any hits. He hasn't seen and had to face the lineup more than once. Unless it's a series where he's starting Tuesday and then pitching Sunday, he's not having to go through that lineup and seeing if anyone makes any adjustments. So that to me is something that I'd be very interested to see how that happens, because that's what they're going to do in the big leagues. They're going to make adjustments. So I'd be very interested to see how it does at the AAA level, to see what these guys are doing to kind of adjust to his speed and just his arsenal of pitches in general.
Right, and that's why I want to see him throw 5 innings, is for that exact reason. I mean, he's got it. He looks fantastic. I just want to see if he can go 5 innings. Well, I want to see, like you said, the lineup turning over.
Yeah.
If he can adjust and how he does. I mean, granted, he's gone 3 1/3, so he's done that for the top of the order. But,
and they're still not touching him.
From the looks of it, going 3 1/3, he gave up 1 hit, so he faced the top 2 hitters of the lineup. Oh, and 2 walks, so he faced the top 4 hitters of the lineup.
Yeah.
So, but a second time, maybe a third time, like you got to extend him. What's the plan here? Like, what are we doing with him?
Yeah. I don't think he's seen more than 60 pitches, 60, 65 pitches in a start yet.
He might have.
I can't. It was just some crazy number they threw out there when I was listening quick, but he's definitely lights out. I would highly recommend, paying attention. Go to the top 100 prospects, pull up his page itself, read that article. He's a phenomenal pitcher, and if you're not aware of who he is yet, you will be very soon.
If he's not called up soon, and if Jackson Holiday graduates before that, then he'll be the number one prospect.
Oh, yeah.
There's no question about it.
Hands down. Hands down. So here's something before we close. You like Kyle Teal as a catching prospect.
I do.
Ethan Salas. Who would you rather have? Salas is younger, much younger, at being only 18, maybe 19 max. But who would you rather start your team with? And you don't have to answer me now if you don't want. Wait until the next podcast. But that was something to me when I was paying some attention to him, and I believe he's in high A for the Padres. That was one, because I've heard you talk about Kyle Teal. I've heard about him from being from New England more and more than I have Ethan. But to me, that's one that is something. If you don't want to answer now, we can definitely hit it the next podcast, and maybe you can do a little bit of work, and look at it. But for me, those are the two right now that stick in my mind in regards to two of the best catching prospects in the league, and I don't know which one I'd rather have.
They are two of the best. I want to wait and see what happens this week, so I'll do it next podcast.
Okay.
But I will say, so here's the tough, but this is why I don't want to do it tonight, is I watch a lot of college baseball.
Yeah.
And I've written articles about college baseball. Because I have, like I've said before, I have 2 TVs in my room. So on Friday nights, if my girlfriend goes to bed or if I'm by myself in the living room, I have 2 TVs going. The big screen, if the Red Sox and Tigers aren't on late night, I got MLB Big Inning, and the little TV has college baseball. So I'm following everything. It's baseball season in my house, and I'm full go. So I watched a lot of Kyle Teal in college. And the idea of him coming to the Red Sox was my favorite. Like, it was maybe one mock draft I saw there. He was projected to come here. But he was, even before all that, I said I wanted Kyle Teal to be a Red Sox. And I liked his bat at Virginia. And so that's why if I gave an answer now, I'd probably say Teal. And I've followed Salas in the minor leagues. But right now I'd say Teal. But I want to do more research, and I want to watch both of them this week, and I want to give my full, unbiased answer.
Okay. It's fair enough. Allow you to prepare. I kind of hit it with you last minute. Do you have anything else that you'd like to mention before we wrap this thing up tonight? Trying to keep it as under an hour and little just shy of an hour and 5 minutes right now. Anything else you'd like to add?
Well, since you just brought up Salas, wild to me that the Rockies just took the lead from the Padres. Granted, it's the fourth inning, but it was 2-0 last I saw, and I looked up, and now it's 5-4.
Yeah.
Also, what's up with the Boris guys? So we talked about Snell and
Oh,
Montgomery,
everyone's leaving him.
and well, not even that, but like none of them are producing. The Boris four aren't doing anything.
What were they doing? Again, just like we said with Snell, I think Montgomery looked the best.
Yes,
But again, now with that, we also had a lot of discussion on Montgomery and thinking he was probably the worst of the four pitchers and more average than, or not four pitchers, but of the clients that were still out there, he was probably the one that was getting hyped the most just because of what he did with the Rangers. You know, a one hit wonder. I think he is that number 3 starter. And I think it'll be very interesting to see at the end of May if we look at those guys and then compare them and see where they're at. But it doesn't look good right now, holding out all that much time. What were they doing? They missed spring training. It's just different.
even the bats though. Chapman, he
Yeah.
just it popped in my head because he just popped up to the plate. He's hitting 226.
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean, what do you expect?
I'll take over 200.
265? Yeah. But
Who's the other one?
it's very
I saw
interesting.
I saw a stat the other day.
Bellinger's been struggling too.
So
Not
all
as
four of them.
bad, not as bad, but they're not. They don't look well. And
It
yeah,
wasn't. Was it Bellinger? There was another one I saw that was hitting like a buck something when I saw it. It was mind boggling that those four were struggling out of the gate.
how
Maybe it
much of
was
that is
Bellinger.
stress and pressure because of the fact that they were all talked about from November until March when they signed, and some of them late March. So
Yeah, but
that's got to weigh on you at some point, right?
are they calling out Boris because according to reports, Snow was throwing full bullpens all off season. So
No, he did just win the Cy Young. We already touched upon it.
yeah,
He's pretty shit after that, but it'll be definitely interesting. That's something we want to keep an eye on, and just kind of there's a lot of different underlying storylines that we can kind of touch on. But for me, I think it's going to be very interesting. Give them a month of May, see where things land, and let's really dive into these Boris clients that just were free agents. And now, another thing, if you're a Boris client and you're heading into free agency next year, how
yeah,
comfortable are you?
yeah,
So there's a lot of stuff there, but I think the biggest thing for me as we close out, and you and I both have full-time jobs. We're both slammed with work, personal life, both have kids, and my kids are starting their softball and baseball seasons, but I'm still finding time as much as I can with this passion of baseball and writing. And I think that's where for you and I, and we've mentioned it in these different little call outs, but if you have any interest in talking baseball, writing about baseball, and don't be intimidated if you've never written before. I've never written before, other than work emails and different proposals and stuff like that for work. So we have different tools to help you. We have a lot of good people that are willing to work with you and kind of give you some pointers, let you know what we're doing, and just work with you. So if you're interested but hesitant, just reach out. Reach out to us, go to the website, insidethediamonds.com/join us, and let us know what you're thinking, and at least let us talk to you and give you a couple of ideas of what we're doing so that you maybe feel comfortable and want to join us. It's a pretty laid back atmosphere. There's no real true requirements. Just, be active and at least try to put out some content a couple of times a week. And we can show you different ways to engage the fan base and just come join this growing team and help us kind of be a part of it and see where we can take this thing. So that was really the last thing I had. Anything else from you?
The only last thing I want to say, the very last thing, is the Royals. They're a team to watch. They could be
Mm-hmm.
interesting and sneaky. I'm
Mike
watching
Trout hit
them.
another home. Old
I
washed
just
up
know
Mike
that.
Trout hit another one.
I'm watching the bottom right corner. We got 3-2 in the bottom of the eighth. But that Royals team, they put up a good fight against the Orioles this past weekend. So they're a team to watch. And can't wait for this next week.
It's a great game. It's a great game. Doesn't have to always be your favorite team either. But no, we appreciate you all. Please subscribe, follow, join us on all the social channels that we have for Inside the Diamond. And like we've mentioned, reach out to us if you're interested in joining us. Otherwise, we appreciate you tuning in and keep track of us. We'll have another one out next week. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you next week.